Welcome, everybody. We'll call the Stanley City Council meeting to order Tuesday, August 8th, 2023 at 7 p.m. And if you would, we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And we'll start with the minutes.
So I did send you a revised copy this afternoon. Most of them were just minor little typos, but the one main correction is that the approval of the June minutes, it should be June 13th, not the 16th.
Okay.
So that's the only major correction.
Anybody else have any other corrections? If not, is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve minutes.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Planning and zoning recommendations, Mr. Highbrighter.
Mr. Mayor, council members, we had our regular planning and zoning meeting last evening. Our first order of business was a consent form request from Aaron Whipperman. He lives on the corner of 8th Avenue and Highway 8. It's the corner lot right next to the evergreen tree that are planted for a barrier, which is next to the walking path. He was coming forward asking if he could put his fence on the property line, which would adjoin city property then, right next to the evergreen trees. It would leave enough room between the fence and the trees for maintenance and upkeep. We also discussed that the trees are on city property, which would pretty much be like in front of most homes where there's a boulevard. It's the homeowner's responsibility to tend and take care of those trees. And he said he would gladly do it. And after a lot of discussion, we did a roll call vote. There was 2 ayes and 1 nay, and Mr. Wing voted against because he thought maybe we would set a precedence we didn't want. It did pass. I guess my opinion is I feel it won't hurt to go on the property line. We've had a couple other property owners come forward to the city hall and discuss the walking path since it's been put in and how much more activity there is there and how people are looking in their backyards and can see. And I feel since there's plenty of room between the walking path, the trees, to the property line for this fence, I didn't see a problem. And I was in favor of it, but I didn't vote. So with that, we did make a motion to approve. And this would be for a city official to sign the consent form, which would be then recorded at the courthouse. It'll become a permanent fixture to that property.
Okay.
I
Sure.
make a motion to approve. I would like to set that precedence.
Okay, a motion's been made. Is there any other discussion on this? If not, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Same sign opposed. Motion carries.
With this also, after a little discussion too, since we really don't have a tree committee, we just, as the planning and zoning, would like to make a recommendation to the council that maybe the city could help purchase couple new evergreens that are dead. And if the city were to purchase them or help purchase them, Mr. Whipperman said he would take care of them. He would make sure they got watered and taken care of. If that's something the city council would like to look into, you know, if it's possible to.
Is he gonna plant them and,
I believe he was interested in planting and tending to them and watering and taking care of them, yes. Because the city workers are shorthanded.
and it is on city property, those
It
trees,
is on
right?
city property, yes. And they originally had died. The original trees had died. But the previous landowner removed them, cut them down with city approval. Then the city paid for 3 trees to put back in. 1 is living, 2 have died. And it'd be those 2 that died that was.
Okay. I don't really see
I
any,
move to replace the 2 trees at city's cost. I'll second.
okay, a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Are we just talking small trees here, or are we, okay.
Yeah, I believe the 2 that are there are probably 4-foot evergreens
Yeah.
right now. They're the replacements from a couple of years ago. So
Just
They
making
were
sure we're not
originally-
talking about extremely large evergreens that could be pretty pricey, so.
These would be like you're still in the pot or size, yes.
These were originally purchased through our last tree grant. And since they, through no fault of the previous owner before Mr. Weberman, they died. So we just kind of felt like maybe the city should replace, since we replaced them the first time. And he's agreed to take care of them, so it should have a better outcome.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
All right.
Same sign opposed, motion carried.
Next order of business was a variance permit for Chance Beery. He has a 1986 single-wide mobile home. And because it does not fall into the age requirement in the planning and zoning regulations, he needed a variance. He wants to put this out, be north of Steve Martin's house up by the railroad tracks where there's some grain bins. It is out of the city limits, but it's in the extraterritorial jurisdiction of the planning and zoning. And after discussion, a motion was made to approve a variance for Chance Beery.
Move to approve the
Second.
planning and zoning's recommendation.
Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second?
There is a second.
Okay. Any other discussion on that? All in favor signify by saying aye.
All right.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
That's all I have unless you have any questions or comments for me.
Nope, not for me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Todd.
Good evening, council, Mr. Mayor. As you can tell, we have very much slowed down on our approved permits. We have one for, they're basically enclosing a patio over at Mr. Alvsted's house. The other one is the sign permit that you guys approved the variance on last month. And then the 2 special event mobile food permits were for this Summerfest that we had this previous week. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
I don't have. Anybody else got any questions or comments? Can I get a motion to approve?
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Same sign opposed. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda, Keir Jackson, fireworks.
I'm Keir Jackson. I'm here to see if we get a permit from the city to light fireworks at home football games. Sorry, to send fireworks off at home football games. I have not gone to the school board yet because this is the order of the way the meetings fell on the calendar. So if we can come to an agreement for some sort of a variance on the days that we allow fireworks, we would only do it if the school board also approved our request. We just want to do something fun for the Blue Jays. So we were thinking maybe setting fireworks off after they get a touchdown or win a game and perhaps on back to Blue Jay night. And these will be commercial, not commercial grade, but consumer grade fireworks. So the kind that anyone can buy.
Okay.
So if there is a problem with the school not wanting it or with the sports association that the school is a part of, that it would be in violation of that, then we won't proceed. And we don't know those answers yet because the school board meeting is next week.
Okay.
Did you talk to the fire department at all to see if they had any concerns about whether you guys would be lighting them off? Or
No, and like I said, I would have to talk to the athletic director and the school board to see, first of all, if they're even interested and where they would want them. So if it was a safety concern for them or not interested, or it would be a violation of anything, then we'll just drop it.
Any other discussion on
I think it's a cool idea. We got that nice new track and all that nice area, new sound, new lights, all of that business. It's a nice thing to set it apart, I guess.
I know we do have an ordinance that we have to talk about every year for the 4th of July for fireworks, so we'd have to take that, we'd have to visit that. And then also, part of that requirement is gonna be, in my mind, the only way is if there is no burn ban at the time, and that's set by the county.
The county, the sheriff.
Actually, the fire department, they call us, but if there's a burn ban of any sort, then, you wouldn't be able to do it at that point.
Yeah, I agree with that. Makes sense.
it? Any other comments or?
Mayor, may I make a comment? So as Chad mentioned with our ordinance, so looking through our ordinance, it doesn't specify any dates directly. It just more or less states that it usually has to be by resolution, which we do every year for the 4th, which is kind of based off the same as state statute, which is from June 27th through July 5th for the sale and discharge. And obviously we always make it contingent upon, state fire conditions. So I guess that would be a question for Megan then, exactly how we would need to proceed with this if the council so chooses to.
Are you suggesting a new ordinance or an amendment to the current?
Well, I would think it would be a variance, but I guess I don't know, just for, I guess, the legal permission to do this on football games, and it would follow the schedule of the school.
I don't know why we couldn't just do the same resolution. I mean, as on the 4th, we have an ordinance. I don't want to write another ordinance for a special event. And I mean, I personally have no qualms about shooting fireworks off. It's just, we need to make sure that it's safe, not dry out, so that we potentially have. So I can't see why we can't just do that resolution like we do every year for the school at football games and control it that way.
Yeah, I think that would work. Was that your motion?
Sure.
I'll second it.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? And
So I
just to be clear, I mean, so
Are we talking just for the event she's
the football
mentioning in
calendar?
here, or
or-
do we?
Yeah, the Blue Jay,
The
I'm
Blue Jay,
assuming it's back to Blue Jay night and
back to
then
Blue Jay night, which is,
home
on the
football games.
And I think it's contingent upon whether the school board,
absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, and
You
I
know.
can just report back. If they don't want it, I'll just let you know.
okay.
Yeah.
So there's a motion and a second on the floor.
Just a quick comment, they used to do the potato bend several years ago at home football games when the Blue Jays would score a touchdown in high school teams. So that might be your first
Yeah,
step after this, is go them,
okay,
because they're gonna shut it down probably.
okay.
Okay.
So this might not, I mean, it possibly could go nowhere, but
Well, it's
It
worth,
might have changed, that was 15 years ago, so.
it's worth a shot. So, I mean.
yeah.
I think it's kind of a neat idea, so. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. There's a few other people that think it's a good idea too, then. So.
All right, well, we'll see. Thanks.
Contingent upon the school.
Right.
Okay, Stanley Commercial Club.
Okay, so
request.
obviously this was addressed at the previous council meeting. The street closure had already been approved, but there was also a second request about putting a 50 amp service to be installed on the power pole over by the parking lot or by Brevera for like food trucks, bouncy houses, and other needs in the future. So was directed into checking with MDU. I spoke to both Justin and an Oren from, I think, one of the corporate offices, and he told me they do not permit anything permanent on their power poles. So if this was something the city wanted to proceed with doing, we'd have to have like a separate service put in. And if you did that with the meter socket, it would be at a small commercial rate, which would be $1.15 per day for, and I guess if it's only used once or twice a year, which also can create an issue because they said if it's something that's not being continuously used, they will disconnect services. And then if we did something seasonal, then you'd still have a $35 turn on and a $35 turn off fee every time we would request it to be turned on or shut off. So, and I guess I did have a discussion with Chad. I don't know if you want to speak on this as well.
You're doing fine.
Thanks. Thanks for the help. And I guess we just kind of figured that for something that is literally going to be used once or twice a year, that's probably not something that should be paid by the taxpayers. And I guess these vendors that are coming in, I mean, you would think most of them should have a generator to run their equipment. And I guess that was just kind of mine and Chad's discussion. So I guess, and we didn't check into a cost for an electrician. So you figure you'd also have that additional cost, which like Chad said, probably could be up, close to, $1,200 additional as well. So.
And with it not being allowed on their pole, that means that we'd have to have an additional service panel set somewhere. Well, we don't own any of that property to be able to set a service panel on.
Right.
And it's just, my opinion, it does not work for us to be responsible for something like that.
Other comments? Comments from the group? Okay, with that being said, we probably should have a motion then that we're not going to.
So move.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that.
Okay, there's a motion and a second on the table to not approve their request of the Stanley Commercial Club for putting utilities up there, right? Okay. And all in favor signify, and this is not to. All in favor signify by saying
Aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries to not do that. Stanley Park District request loan, is this did they turn in a pay request or?
Yep, you have
Okay.
it in your packet.
Yep.
So you'll see she just included their minutes, and so what they're requesting is $249,800.
Move to approve.
Okay,
Second.
motion and a second on the table. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carries. Bros Engineering.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Excuse my voice, it's a little rough. I just picked up a cold. I got a really good deal on it, so I guess I have to,
Just stay that way, far away.
I'll stay at distance from you guys. Our engineer's report is in your packet. A couple of items that I can add to it. on Country Estates Water. We did check with JMAC and they're planning on being back either the week of the 21st or the 28th of August to resume work. And as you recall from last meeting, we did not give them an extension on completion date. So I believe it's 20 something of September, I believe was their completion date on that one. So they'll have about a month to wrap up their work. They don't have a whole lot left.
Which should be plenty.
Should be plenty. Agreed. Stanley CIP Phase 1, that project, I said in here, the balancing change order was being assembled. It is put together and will be shipped over to the contractor tomorrow. Piece worth noting there, the total project reduced by 152,000 and change from what was in the bid amount. So about a 3.2% reduction over the bid amount on that one. So the guys did a good job of making sure that we didn't end up doing a whole bunch of extras. We had some, some positive additions to the project, and then we had some reductions. So it worked out pretty well. Phase 2 CIP, we've been planning on getting that one ready for bid this fall. We've got the plans essentially wrapped up and tentatively looking at a Friday, August 18th review to go through those plans with a fine-tooth comb and make sure that we've got everything covered. I've done my first cursory review. I found a few things that needed to be adjusted, but for the most part, things are looking pretty good. So that one's going to be in pretty good shape. And we'll look at the estimates, but that one is running a little bit lower than what we had for previous estimates as well. By cleaning a few things up and getting things going in the right direction, looks like we're going to be in pretty good shape on that one. John Ryan addition. We haven't put much time into that yet. I wanted to get this phase 2 plan set taken care of, get it off the books. But we have looked at it and we've got kind of a quantity summary put together. So we have a pretty good idea of what we're up against. Now we're just going to sharpen our pencils up a little bit and come up with an estimate of what it'll take to fix that one. What we talked about last meeting of milling up the existing pavement, blending it with that gravel base that is there, using that as our subgrade prep in there, and then paving on top of it is still kind of the direction that we're looking at as the most economical way to go about doing that. So we should have estimates for you for next meeting.
Okay.
With that, I'll stand for questions. The one repair on phase 1, is that they got a scheduled time for that yet? That cement up on the manhole cover that's floating?
Don't have a bit.
Okay. Okay.
It's on the list.
And we still do have that 5%, right? Or
The balancing change order, when that goes through, then that will process our final payment and that would release it. And then we go to warranty period. So
Okay.
we'd have that 1-year warranty period. But we'll have a date for that work to be done and we just won't sign that
Okay.
final pay request. We won't process that until that work's done.
all right. Any other questions? Thanks.
Okay,
Appreciate it.
Green light was on this time. Get better.
Okay, capital improvement project, phase 2, create districts.
So Mayor, if I may comment on this, and I mean, obviously, as I mentioned during our meeting yesterday afternoon, since we are moving forward with doing the phase 2, and obviously they're in the process of designing the project, and there are starting bills obviously coming in now, I thought it would be a good idea if we create this so that going forward, all project costs are being tracked properly. So if we create the districts, we'd do District 56, which would be for the water and sewer improvements, and District 57 would be for the street improvements.
Okay.
So we'd need a motion to create those districts.
And this is a great idea. Any comments from anybody on this?
Is it too soon to add 2 more districts for phase 3 so that we have a place for that monies to go if we get to put towards that, so it stays out of that infrastructure fund and can be ear-tagged only for that particular phase?
I guess I'd probably feel a little more comfortable waiting till we're a little more closer to that, since we haven't initially started doing anything. I mean, I know we've been discussing it, but till maybe once, they just start getting ready to design it, that maybe hold off until then.
Okay. I just don't want it to get lost in the shuffle and
Yep, nope, I agree.
lose the traction that we've created with finally getting our streets and water and sewer.
Well, this creating the districts, it's important.
Move to create the districts,
Okay,
56 and 57.
I'll second.
okay, we got a motion and a second on the table. Any other discussion on it? All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion carries. Okay. Dangerous building demo bids.
Good evening. I fooled you.
I've seen you before.
I've been here once or twice. As you know, I put the copies in your packets so you guys could review them. The first sheet is what we put in the newspaper. The bids were opened Friday, August 4th at 3 p.m. I provided copies of the 2 bids that we did receive. One was for what will be the $17,500, and the other was for $7,200. That first bid did change a little bit because after doing a little bit of research and speaking with some people, it has come to my attention that it is probably an easier, safer, better solution to the asbestos is if the city takes care of it. The city hires a contractor that is approved by the state to do testing and then remediation if necessary. That way, when the demo contractors come in, they literally just come in and demo the structure. Everything is safe and the information has been sent to the state of North Dakota for filing. There are some contractors that are okay with doing any kind of asbestos testing and removal. There are a lot that are not. So I have found that if the city takes care of those things, that it will just make for a smoother process for everyone.
Well, given that we sent it out for bids already and that was included in there,
Right.
well, how are we gonna handle that this time?
The-
Both bids.
Both
do
bids
not
did.
include
No, they
asbestos.
don't. That's what I'm
state it,
saying.
So we have to hire.
We do,
a
or the
twos-
contractor does, and they,
We pay directly.
either way.
The bid for SM Services, the $17,500, he did include originally that $1,500 for testing, and then remediation would obviously be extra. The other bid that I got from Chamley, they said that this is how they would structure their bid. They would not bid if we were going to require them to do asbestos testing and inspection because they don't feel comfortable doing that. And so I asked them, please turn in your bid how you would like it. And then,
Most won't. I mean,
no,
I know another one that won't, so I mean,
right. The other contractors, I did reach out to them and they told me they were not planning on bidding.
Right.
So,
and that's the biggest part of that.
mhm,
That and landfill issues,
right.
Basically, if you don't have your own landfill, it's a lot harder to do.
Which I believe is the obvious difference between the two quotes. One has access to something that the other one does not. I don't think that it makes either one of them better or worse or in between. But those are the options that I got.
Well, one's in the business of strictly doing that. That's basically his business is that type of work, so. You know, there was no doubt in my mind that Chamley would probably come in with a,
Where is Chamley gonna dispose of this?
back in Williston.
Williston.
Doesn't really say.
So,
I don't think either one of them say where they're gonna dispose of it.
no, but Chamley's got access to the pit in Williston.
That's
So-
their, I guess my recommendation is that we manage set up the asbestos inspection and pay for it. I don't wanna put it onto the contractor and then pay an administrative fee for them managing that portion of it, just to make a phone call to somebody and say, come and inspect this.
Well, it's just gonna, you're
They're
gonna pay
pass
that much
on
more.
Administrative fees along with that bill of the inspection too, so it's just gonna go up. I mean,
That's already written in there, like they already stated in their bid that it would already be taken care of before they started any work. So they're already saying that we would take care of it. So if we accepted their bid, we wouldn't have to change that. We would just need to do that prior to them starting the work.
Right on, in this case,
Yeah.
right?
So I'd make a motion to accept the Chamley bid and have Amanda, I guess, start the process of finding somebody, or do we have to have bids for testing, or can she just hire somebody? How does that work?
There isn't that many places or people that'll do that, so. And their time is probably gonna be a factor if we're gonna try to get that done this fall. So I'd say make some phone calls and find the best one and.
Okay.
There's a motion on the table. Is there a second to accept Chamley's?
I'll second.
George seconds. All in favor signify by saying aye. Same sign opposed. Motion carries. Tax deed properties. Thanks, Amanda. Tax deed properties.
Well, I guess I get to speak on that. So obviously, this is something that we've had on the agenda the last few months. It was requested for the attorney to put together something and kind of what we legally could do to put these out for bids. So in your packet, you'll see there is a call for bids. I guess my only notation is there is a lot missing on it, Megan. It should be, lot 31 should also be included on there. And also I've included, you'll see in your packet, there's a pretty large bundle there that is related to the properties. So that's kind of the property information, values, et cetera. If I know not many of you have had time to look through them, but
Has everybody had time to look at this? Or do we need to push this to the next meeting so we get this right? Huh? I would too, because I think this is a big deal. We need to make sure we do this right. Not saying we won't, I'm just saying if we can study this a little bit more, I think we can make the right decisions.
Do I need a motion or do we just table it?
I would like to see a motion on that.
Okay. I'd make a motion that we put this on next month's agenda and takes more time to look over this packet.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I guess I have one quick question. Is there anything else the council feels like they should have in advance? Or if you guys want to look through this, all the property card information first, and if there's something you feel you need additional, please let me or Brianna know right away, and we can get that out to you before the next meeting then.
I know that Amanda did a pile of work on it when we were negotiating and renegotiating with some timeframes. If we could have those so that we can kind of see what we had put out there before to see if that still matches up with what this bid proposal says. I mean, we'd offered extensions and we'd offered windows of time like 18 months and whatever to Greenstone.
I guess we're both kind of confused what you're referring
It's talking
to.
about completion time to, it's talking about completion time to make it
Oh,
up to, either up to code or torn down.
Because this includes all properties, so this is gonna
When
include
we
the
put-
properties with the apartments.
When we put the stipulations on them, Amanda, that they
So
had
they
to be
can-
done within, so many months, basically, of,
so you kind of want all the dangerous building information and,
Yeah, and
It's kinda what you're-
what we had offered Greenstone when we were negotiating with them to try to get them to finish it, we had approved a bunch of your requests of time allotments for.
there was
get
like a
this done
settlement
by this
agreement
point in
and,
time, just so that we can know if we're relative in this agreement.
okay. So like I said, I guess if there's anything else, just make sure you let us know, so,
okay.
okay?
There's a motion and a second on the table right now to move this to the next council meeting. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, City Pond.
Give me 1 second. Okay, so this was discussed at the last 2 meetings. Obviously, there is already a sign there that states no swimming, which is included in your packet. It says warning, deep water, no diving, no swimming, no boats within 100 feet. And it also says North Dakota Game and Fish on it. And I know the Public Works Department was in the process or had ordered more signs to post other than just on the dock. But there was a motion made at the June meeting. And the motion was made by Weinbar, second by Little Creek, to approve drawing up a policy regarding no swimming at the city pond and getting signs posted immediately. So at July's meeting, Attorney Sandberg informed the council that a written policy stating no swimming in the city pond only applies to city employees. So an ordinance would need to be written and passed instead. And I know Chief Litton informed the council that the police department would do whatever they can to monitor the pond and enforce the no swimming if necessary. Then, of course, it was tabled and would need to be readdressed because we'll need to rescind that previous motion from the June meeting.
I personally don't think it needs to be rescinded. I agree with Linda's motion on that. There's concrete in that thing. There's old fence in that, barbed wire. We don't know everything that's been put in that pond.
I think we just need to resend it and reword it to be ordinance and not.
So then an ordinance would have to be created and we'd have to do 2 readings. So I guess if that's how the council would like to proceed, then obviously we'd need to proceed with having the attorney draft an ordinance.
Other comments? We need some comments on this.
I would be in favor of getting an ordinance done up, then we're covered by the ordinance.
I personally don't think we have liability, so I'm against it.
Has there been anybody that's gone swimming since? Has there been any issues since the sign's been posted or calls or complaints?
Good evening. To answer your question, I was there last night for this same thing. 3 juveniles swimming in this pond. So,
There was 3 in there, didn't you say?
So I'd make a motion to draft up an ordinance regarding the no, what? Oh, I have to rescind my first motion?
Is that how we should proceed, is rescind the first motion and then amend it?
Yes, the motion for the policy.
Okay,
Then
So you
I
have-
will rescind that first motion. Do we have to vote on that?
You can make that one motion, to rescind the first motion and a motion to, I don't know why you can't.
I don't
We
think
have
we
to
can.
approve
They
the
have to do 2 separate motions. The first
Okay.
one would be to rescind, so Linda and then George would need to do that to rescind.
I am rescinding that motion.
I second the recension.
Okay, there's a motion and a second on the table to rescind the motion. First motion in June.
Yep.
Wasn't it, in the June minutes? All in favor signify by saying aye.
I,
Same sign opposed. Okay, motion is rescinded.
so now I will make a motion to draft an ordinance for the city pond that there is no swimming allowed. Or however the attorney wants to word that.
Okay, there's motion on the table. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
Are we liable if somebody goes swimming in there and they are hurt?
City
Yes.
property.
We are.
Greg?
There's, I think you've been there, when swimming, there were fly fishing. Or any other reason. Maybe to any entry to the water. Because of the hazard.
Yeah, I guess that's something to think about too. Depends on how we write it up, I guess. Any other comments? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
I,
Opposed?
I,
We should do roll call.
We need to do a roll call.
Lauren,
No.
Zach, Linda,
I,
George,
Aye.
Chad.
no.
Hearing 3 ayes and 2 noes. Motion carries. Moving on. Gaming permits.
Give me another second, sorry. Okay, so we have 2 gaming permits, one for the Stanley Community Public School. And this would be a local permit for bingo, raffle, calendar raffle, and sports pool. And you'll see attached is all of their raffle dates, which is now required by the state. And the second one is for the Stanley Commercial Club. This is a restricted event permit, which would be for a poker tournament that will be at the Leader Bar on September 10th.
Move to approve the gaming permits.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second on the table to approve the gaming permits. Any discussion? Not hearing any. All in favor signify by saying aye.
I,
Opposed, same sign. Hearing no opposed, motion carries. Second quarter gaming funds.
So this is just a formality, is something that that they submit to us. So just more or less, we make notation in the minutes that the council has reviewed and received and reviewed the gaming fund report.
Okay, Okay, Zach's made a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second's been made. All in favor signify by saying aye.
I,
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Preliminary budget.
So the Budget Committee met yesterday afternoon at 4:30 PM. There was no major changes. We kind of discussed infrastructure, upcoming projects. As I told them, no major changes, obviously, other than insurance, which increases every year, but there was a 10.7% increase for our health insurance. And discussing wages, so obviously the patrol police officers have their own step tier system. So their wages obviously were based off of that. Ada was increased to, the deputy auditor was increased to $32 an hour. And the remaining city employees got a 3% COLA increase. And is there anything I'm missing?
No, I don't think so. Not that I
Okay.
can think of.
Oh, and then I guess just the library, obviously, they kind of take care of their own budget, which I figure. So their employees, Kelly, the head librarian, she was increased to $25 an hour, and then her sub-librarians were increased to $22 an hour. And also, I guess, retirement was increased by 1%, and that is the employer's responsibility to take care of that 1% increase as well. So that has been figured into the budget as well. And I guess the only other thing I guess I have to say is that evaluations did decrease from last year. So our valuation last year was $15,051,682. And sorry, bear with me. Based off the figures I received from the county, which would be for real estate and public utilities, was $14,841,877. And so based off of the Budget Committee's recommendation, we will be setting the mills at 50.75 compared to, they were 50.43 for last year. Or for this current year, for the 2023. I guess unless anybody has any questions, I think I covered majority of it.
Yep. Any other questions? Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second's on the table. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, Housing Committee.
So the Housing Committee, sorry, you're going to be sick of hearing me talk. The Housing Committee met just here shortly before the council meeting. We had one item on the agenda. So obviously, it's been sinking where the driveways and the sidewalks at the law enforcement fourplex. I did have Ann check with 4 different companies. One did get back to her and said that they actually did not do mud jacking, and the other 2 never even contacted her back. So the only estimate we received was from Rough Rider Mud Jacking, and it would be to lift 4 driveways and the sidewalks at $9,500. And I guess just as I mentioned to the Housing Committee, the city hadn't, but the Housing Authority, which I'm the Secretary Treasurer for, had previously hired them to also do the same thing because the sidewalks and stuff were sinking. And I know they did a very good job and didn't have any complaints. So, but yeah, so the committee recommends approving to have Rough Rider Mud Jacking lift the 4 driveways and the sidewalks for $9,500.
A lot cheaper than replacing.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second's on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Same sign for opposed. Motion carries. Chief.
Good evening again. Police department's doing really well. Officer Marsh started about a month ago. He's almost done with phase 1 of field training. He's doing really well so far. I think he's seen a lot of activity, as you can see by the Facebook posts that we've been putting out. We have another one starting on Thursday. He'll start FTO next Monday. Everything else in the department's going really well.
It's great to hear. According to the police report that we pass around here with all the tickets and the arrests, I mean, the judge's report, basically. You've been busy.
That's to say the least.
I'd like to say thank you for posting those, what are they?
The press
On the
releases.
Facebook, the
Yeah.
press releases. I appreciate those.
And as I drive around and I am on my patrol, I get contacted by numerous citizens of the community expressing their gratitude for the way the police department has completely changed. And I've asked them to come in and speak to you guys because you guys are the ones that made that decision. So I want you guys to know that I'm also hearing it out there as well.
Okay, can, we need approval for his report? Not really, it's just verbal report, so. Okay, thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
Okay, Public Works report.
Hello, my first quote is from that whole paving.
And that is to asphalt some patches throughout the town. 5th Street Southeast and 12th Ave Southeast. 5th Street Southeast and 7th Ave Southeast. 2nd Street Southeast and 5th Ave Southeast. And Main Street and 1st Ave, those ones are ours. The one with Main Street, we would cost share that with the mix. It got dug up because of the water. And then 1st Street Southeast, I will find out on Thursday if that is covered by the construction people doing the outdoor swimming pool. And then 1st Street Southeast and 2nd Ave, the Memorial Building, those contractors will be doing that patch.
Or 5th Street Southeast and 12th Avenue Southeast? What one is that?
That is over by like Subway and the new post office, by that apartment complex.
And I don't think a patch, I think we're gonna have to have that looked at because that's wet. That isn't just pull asphalt out and put new asphalt on, it's gonna do the same thing next spring. That's gonna take more work than just fixing, I mean, I don't disagree, there's a
Yeah.
hole there and it's terrible. But we're not fixing anything by just putting new asphalt on top of
Right.
it. It's gonna be destroyed in 1 year again. It's gotta get dug out and dried out and compacted back to
Yeah.
100% before we put any money on top of it.
Yeah, we did have Scott Cudmore come and dig out some of the bad asphalt there on that patch, and then we did bring in some of ours just to make it temporary.
Yeah, and
But-
I think it's gonna be half a block of it in there, because it was pumping in the spring. When you drove over it, it was just like a sponge, so.
Yeah.
I
if-
don't, I
if-
guess I don't think that we should have this in our patches of what we presume like in front of the school or,
Okay,
you know, the.
other
ones here,
patches.
Yeah, the ones
Yep.
that we're not having to constantly.
Yeah, I
babysit.
just want to include it because it was
Yep.
kind of a bigger one.
Yeah, there's,
And that's just my
Um,
2 cents on it.
my question is, if we don't pave the one on Fifth Street, can we use those funds to patch some of the smaller ones that I didn't include? There's just some small ones. There's one in front of the hospital,
Yeah, and that was due to,
replacing that hydrant.
we had to replace a hydrant because of the block valve wasn't working,
Correct.
so it needs to get fixed, otherwise we're gonna wreck that whole street too by getting water under it.
And we don't want that.
yeah. Yeah, we need as many of these fixed as what we can.
Okay.
I think they could add, I mean, it's a question whether we need it done this year or not, but for that block we're talking about by Subway, Bechtold could add it, or they could subcontract it to put in like a 2 foot of subgrade replacement. I mean, just because, I agree with you that it needs more, but that we don't necessarily want to not do it just because it needs.
Right.
Well, I do agree. I think there needs to be, the whole subgrade needs to be tore out and redone. Because otherwise you're just putting a Band-Aid on it and it's gonna go to heck again. If we're gonna fix these, let's fix them.
Maybe I know they can come in September.
To do the repairs, but I mean,
Yeah.
would they be willing to come out and meet with us on site so that we can talk about what we need?
I can ask Seth.
I mean, I think we need to,
I don't know if they can give us a quote because they probably don't know what's down there either, but if we could give them up to a certain amount of subgrade.
yeah, because I think how we came up with our footage, Tuffy just went and measured it all for him and gave them the footage, or? did they come
No,
out?
I met with Seth on site and he measured.
Okay.
But I can ask Seth if he can and what his schedule is for a meeting.
I guess I'd like to meet with him out there and talk about that one, because that's a kind of a big deal.
Well, and actually just take them around and show them everything that does need to be.
Mhm.
So we get a solid quote on the whole thing.
Well, that's what she did.
She did on this, but I mean, there's gonna be changes to this. So,
The additional ones, yeah.
yeah,
Yep. Yeah, I forgot to add the one by the hospital, so that was my mistake when I met with him.
I would recommend he puts a grid and a fabric underneath that out there, because that whole thing's a swamp. It's gonna pump back up in there if they don't do something to separate it.
out there by Subway, yeah.
See if you can get an appointment with him sooner than later. Let us know, and we'll get a couple people to come.
Okay. And then like a patch on First Street Southwest and First Ave, that is in front of the Pursuit. And I'm waiting to hear back from their contractors if it's covered in their line of work or if that would be an us thing.
That would be them. They cut it open to get water service and sewer, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, so that, I mean, that's no different than the Memorial Hall, correct? Or the pool, yeah.
Any more questions on the Bechtel paving one quote?
Put
Can
that
we
together, that'll be good to get those, some of them patches have been out there for a while. I'm glad to see they're gonna get here.
Can we approve all of it with the exception of the Fifth Street, 12th Avenue patch, just so that we've got a spot to start, or?
Yeah, I don't know why we couldn't, actually. I mean,
I mean, I'm guessing their square footage isn't gonna change on patchwork. The one it's gonna change on is the big one by the subway. That's gonna be kind of a one-off deal there. That's not, you're not gonna get that for $6.95.
So I'd make a motion then to approve the Bechtold paving quote minus the Fifth Street, 12th Avenue Southeast portion of the project.
okay, is there a second to that?
Second.
Motion on the table to approve all but Fifth Street Southeast and 12th Avenue Southeast. All in favor signify by saying aye. Same sign opposed. Okay, motion carries.
Okay, and then my second quote is from Ray Crane to trim up some trees. He would close off the alleyways for when they are working or to set up the equipment as a safety. And then he would trim back the branches to the property line of the alleys. And then he would haul them out to the landfill, to our landfill. And his was $6,800.
I'd make a motion to approve. We need to open up them alleyways for city workers to get through, especially in the winter.
Do you have a actual schedule of what alleys and where he's gonna be, so we know exactly what we're getting for that $6,800?
He's just gonna go through all the alleys, and if they need to be trimmed, he will trim them. He's not gonna trim any alleys that don't need to be trimmed.
I guess I'd like to see you go with and verify that they do need, because I know last year when Brady and I went and looked at some of them, there was a handful of them that we took off of his list to do.
Okay,
Because they weren't an encumbrance to the city, whether on the asphalt or in the alley. It was just,
So can I change my motion to an up to 6,800?
Yeah, I think that'd be better.
That'd be my motion then.
and it's just, I mean, that's just good practice to hold our contractors to task.
Well, it's just the
To turn
difference
it
in what a
over
person
to them
thinks
and
needs
say,
to be done.
Uh-huh.
Charge us, so. Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second, and Linda changed that motion to up to $6,800. All in favor signify by saying aye. Same sign opposed, motion carries.
okay, and then my last goes from Mosaic Designs about replacing the Christmas leaves we put up. We put them up on Main Street and then on 6th Avenue Southeast. And this past Christmas time when we put them up, we only had enough working wreaths to do Main Street. And you'll see I included 2 quotes. The first one is to get 11 wreaths, and then the second one is to get 22. The 22 would cover Main and 6th Ave.
I can jump in here a little bit and say that when I was in the commercial club, part of the debacle every year with Christmas lights was whose job it was to maintain those fixtures that go up on the streetlights. And I can't tell you how many times those things have been welded back together.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're super old.
It's also getting harder to find the Christmas bulbs that go into them. And these new ones, they come with a 5-year warranty, melting hardware, and they are LED.
If we don't put them up, you may get some phone calls.
Well, then I told them to call you.
I got one question. The first quote is for 11, and it's $6,422.
Yep,
And it appears the second quote is the first quote doubled. Correct?
yeah,
So you went from 1 of each to 2 of each.
yep,
And the quote for the doubled order
is higher.
is $800 more.
Yes, I don't know why it's like that.
I mean, at the very minimum, shouldn't this be the 6422 double?
Yes. I don't know why it's like that.
Because if that's the case, then order them twice
Yeah. Yeah, just wait a week, place another order.
instead of giving them an extra $860.
Yeah.
So I would, I mean, depending on the wishes of the council, what happens here tonight, if it so passes, then they go with the double order.
Okay, is there a motion?
I'd make a motion to order the 22, if they adjust the price down to what it should be.
Okay.
Or order the 11 twice.
Okay.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion?
And you can negotiate that, even a better price being as it was multiples. I mean, usually when you buy more, you should get it.
You should get a little bit of a discount. Do you guys have an issue with the wreaths I picked out? I went very standard Christmas theme.
It's fine to me.
I was told I cannot do a under the sea Christmas lights theme. I tried, but Amanda shot me down.
You're welcome.
It has to remain traditional. There's some of us that are still old in this community.
Kind of festive though. It's the little Christmas claus, he's gonna come.
You can get one for your house.
Oh, wait, would the city buy it then?
No.
Oh,
I'll get it.
Okay,
Yeah.
hearing no other discussion. There's a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
thank you.
There's actually an error in their first quote.
Is there?
Line item that's 0 should be $399, so when they doubled it on the second one, it was 800.
They picked that up.
So it's gonna be the higher cost probably, not the lower.
Okay, auditor updates.
So I have a couple of things. The first thing is in your packet, you'll see I included a letter. You'll see this is in reference to recalling a current council member. I did receive the petition and on the date it was required, which was July 31st. I do have, it has to be submitted to me, the city auditor. I have 30 days to certify it. Kind of have started the process, but with doing budget and preparing for the meetings this week, I haven't gotten to confirm all of the signatures and addresses. There's a couple need to check into, but we would need to call a special election, and that special election which needs to be within 90 to 105 days. So I guess I don't know if the council wants to look at setting that as I start preparing things and
I guess my recommendation would be to certify it first. Because if it doesn't certify, then there's no sense in having
okay.
an election set. That's just my opinion.
I guess my only concern is I don't know if that because my 30 days will obviously already exceeded by the time we have a next council meeting.
We'll have to have a special meeting.
Okay. Okay. I will let the council members know then. Couple other things that you
I got
haven't,
one question too on this.
Sorry.
At what point can we see the petition?
after I've certified it
Okay,
is
'cause that will be public record, correct?
correct.
Okay.
Okay, a couple other things, since these all came to me pretty much today, I did not change the agenda. I figured I'd just address them in my report. You'll see there's some minutes there from the Stanley Airport Board, and I guess I don't know if Zach would like to speak first.
Sure. I don't have anything prepared, but
Sorry.
we're probably gonna be moving here in the next month. So it's been a great 9 years on the council, but this will probably be my last meeting. Really, I've learned a lot from it. Hopefully I contributed a little bit to the city. And yeah, this will be the last meeting, I think. So. And since we're moving, one of these is also, one's for me, one's for my wife on one of the case she's on. But, in addition to the airport, I guess I called Marlene and talked about this, but there's a few others that'll be coming up in the next month, I suppose. RT and county
RT
planning.
water.
So we-
Okay,
No, it's been a great privilege to be able to be on here for the city. And, really appreciate our time here and have many fond memories, and hopefully we can come back and visit, and just moving back to South Dakota to be closer to family and my parents and their ranch, and they're getting a little older, and they do a lot of medical stuff in Rapid, and that's kind of the area we're moving to. Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you, Zach. We appreciate all the service you've given Stanley.
Do we
And
have to
just
approve
been,
the resignation?
So,
what's that?
I said, do we have to approve his resignation?
We don't
Yes.
have to.
Well, what are you gonna do,
So-
lock
so
him
we have
up?
an
And
opportunity to vote nay then, right? No.
so I guess we'll probably want to approve both his and Jenny's resignation.
I would make that motion.
I'll
Grudgingly.
second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second on the table to approve both the resignation of Zach and Jenny. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion carries.
Okay, so which leads me then to, like I was saying, the minutes of a special meeting of the Stanley Airport Board. So they did, they made a motion to nominate Ty Taylor to serve on the Airport Authority Board.
Move to accept that recommendation from the Airport Authority Board.
Greg, you had your hand up. Do you have,
Just want to say that the airport very much enjoyed the time that Zach was on the board. And we went through a period of great improvement. There was a lot of issues that were there. And we're going to, see it through. We all want to say thank you.
Thank you.
okay.
So that plane can fly back to Stanley is what he's saying.
Okay, Chad. Can you start over?
Yep, my motion is to approve the recommendation of the Airport Authority Board to place Ty Taylor on the council representative for their board.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Does Ty know about this?
He's the logical choice. He's got it. This is a brand new pilot, so the interest is
Okay.
there.
There's a motion and a second.
Not here.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Next one would be for the EDC committee, which Jenny served on that. So the EDC committee would like to recommend Megan Cobenson to fill Jenny's position. They are still in the process of looking for a member for the visitors committee, but Brandy said they would let me know as soon as they find somebody to serve on the visitors committee. But so we'll need to approve, council will need to approve appointing Megan Cobenson on the EDC committee.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second's been made. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
And there was also a letter in there that was delivered today. I actually haven't even gotten to read it myself. I don't know if Greg wants to step up and talk in regards to the letter or. Yeah.
a year ago, we got a request from the county commissioners. And they wanted us, the Newtown Airport, and the Parcel Airport, and the Stanley Airport to meet and decide how much the Plaza Airport should be allocated out of our allocations. I mean, they weren't gonna raise any more money. They were just gonna take some of ours and give it to Plaza. And, well, there was a response was, no, we can't give up any funding. We've got our next 5 years budget made out. We need the money. Well, so the county commissioners made a separate motion to give them about $25,000 for a mower. Well, the only runway down there is a grass strip. And, I mean, it was a great grass strip at one point. It was a mile long. But they came back again this year and asked us the same thing, to get together and decide how much Plaza should be portioned. And so it was two of us, well, I guess all three of us. But Milo Wolding is the chairman of the Newtown Airport, and myself, we flew down there. And Wolding landed, but I didn't land on it because there's just a few things wrong. About 1998, in order for the county to apply this $1.5 million and raise the money and distribute it for the airports, the city has to assess 2.5 mils. Well, Plaza decided not to do that back then. And they basically abandoned their airport, and then the county quit funding it. They said, well, you didn't do your match, so we're done. Well, then in the meantime, in about 2015, they decided to add onto their city lagoon. And they bought in the middle of their runway, they encroached upon their obstacle-free zone with a two-cell lagoon and a levee that's about 8 feet high. And that is an obstruction, and it is within 100 feet of the center line, and it's got to be clear. You can't have anything within 250 feet of the center line. And even then, from there out, there's a slope. You can't violate the airspace. And then they also, at the same time, there was a homestead built on the east end of the runway. And that also would cause their runway protection zone to be backed up, to the edge of those trees. So if we measured in between the lagoon and this new homestead, there's only 1,900 feet of obstacle-free zone. Well, each RPG is 1,200 feet, so that's 2,400 feet. You don't even have 2,400 feet of clear, and you haven't built a runway yet, So we looked at that and said, you can't build a legal runway in there. You can't even maintain what you got. It should be removed from the North Dakota list of runways or of airports. If there's a accident down there and somebody gets hurt, or even if just wrecked a plane, and some of these planes are worth a lot of, even a new Super Cub is like $500,000, So the insurance company is just going to subrogate it to the city. And if the county's been funding it, they're going to go after the county too. So it's just be a accident waiting to happen. I mean, it's just, so we all three said no, in light of the failure to maintain their airspace and their obstacle-free zones. They don't even have an airport anymore. It was abandoned back in 2013 or definitely 1998, whether they want to admit it or not. I guess they did get the $20,000 or $25,000 for the mower. There's some kind of a discrepancy there. Jay Arstead's the treasurer of the airport, and he said he never saw it. But that went down there. So that's what our stand was, and I sent the letter on to the North Dakota Aeronautics, Pal Honor. He responded today and said that, he said they'll have to, he wants the county to contact him and they talk about the situation and then hopefully the city of Plaza will decide to, you know, not have the state and everybody else just come down on them and just take it away, you know, and let's just admit it's gone. So I thought that there was of significance to the city of Stanley because you're funding this airport out here.
You bet.
I don't think we need to share our funding with Plaza because directly or indirectly, if they carve anything out of our allocation, you know, I got to come to the city of Stanley, make it up. So
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, thank you, Greg, for explaining it
Yeah. I hope we're,
and for watching over it.
I support you completely on that.
Okay, any other auditor updates?
I
Attorney
didn't have anything else.
updates.
I have nothing other than in time for our next council meeting, I'll have the draft, the proposed ordinance for the pond, for the prohibition of swimming in the pond. And then if you want to get any recommendations to us for the John Ryan edition for that bid notice, just get that to us as soon as you can. We can make those changes as well.
Okay.
So,
Any other questions for Megan? Thank you. Council concerns. Zach,
I don't have anything else, just,
Linda? George?
I'm good too.
Chad?
I have none.
Hearing none, we move on to the judge's report. Everybody have a chance to look at that?
Motion to approve the judge's report.
Okay, there's a motion to approve the judge's report. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Bills. Everybody have a chance to look over the bills for August?
Do we know what the RTC numbers are there that are highlighted?
I'm just guessing, with council being a little earlier than in most months, we just still haven't received the bill, but it's still one that we obviously need to pay every month, but that's hence why it's highlighted, so you know that it is one we'll need to pay, but we just haven't received it yet, so.
I move to pay the bills.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second's been made to pay the bills. Any questions, concerns? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. With that, that's the end of our agenda. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second's been made. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Adjourned.